It seems unbelievable, but Washington is taking a step back. While Ukraine is bleeding, the United States is preparing to bring Russian oil back to the global market. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent stated directly on Fox Business, Washington may lift sanctions on Russian oil to save the world from an energy catastrophe. Why did the war against Iran force Trump to make a deal with the Kremlin? How did India become a key player in this scheme? And is this really just a temporary measure as the White House claims? Today, we'll break down the sensational news that could give Putin billions to continue the war.
The Indians were very good actors. We asked them to stop buying sanctioned Russian oil this fall. They did it. They were planning to replace it with American oil to ease the temporary oil shortage around the world. We gave them permission to accept Russian oil. We can lift sanctions from other Russian oil. You know, another thing the Treasury Department can do here, Larry, is that hundreds of millions of barrels of sanctioned crude oil are currently at sea. And essentially, by lifting the sanctions from them, the Treasury can create supply. And, you know, we're working on that. We will maintain the pace of announcing measures to bring relief to the market during this conflict. And, Larry,
The situation in the Middle East has gotten out of control. Due to the military operation against Iran, tanker movement through the Strait of Hormuz has been virtually halted. Qatar has already warned, if the war does not stop, the world will see oil at $150 per barrel, which means a global economic collapse. Minister Scott Bessent explains there are currently hundreds of millions of barrels of sanctioned Russian oil at sea. If the restrictions are lifted from them, the market will get the fuel it needs so that prices don't skyrocket. In effect, Iran has blocked the democratic world, and now Washington is forced to choose between supporting sanctions against Russia and maintaining the stability of its own economy. The first step has already been taken. The U.S. Treasury has granted India an official 30-day permit to purchase Russian oil. Bessent claims that this is a short-term measure that applies only to oil already in ports or at sea. They say this won't bring Moscow much money. However, experts remain skeptical. If the United States has opened this door once, what would stop them from doing it regularly? Especially since Bessent stated directly, we will regularly announce measures to ease the situation on the market. For Ukraine, this sounds like a sentence. Russia will once again receive legal channels to earn petrodollars precisely when we were counting on a complete blockade. This situation demonstrates the full complexity of Trump's peace-through-strength strategy. On the one hand, there is tough pressure on Iran. On the other, there are forced concessions to Russia. Trump cannot allow fuel prices of $5 or $6 per gallon inside the United States because that would destroy his approval rating. But at what cost? Every barrel of Russian oil that the U.S. Treasury now officially allows to be purchased means drones and missiles flying toward Ukrainian cities. It turns out to be a paradox. Washington is fighting Iran to weaken the axis of evil, but at the same time is filling the budget of Iran's main ally, Russia. Do you think the United States has the right to lift sanctions on Russia for the sake of cheap gasoline? Or is this the beginning of the complete collapse of the sanctions regime? Share your thoughts in the comments. Donald Trump is moving from words to action. While the world discusses his peace initiatives, the 47th president has officially announced the largest expansion of arms production in the United States in recent decades. Trump promises to turn America into an impregnable fortress and the main arsenal of democracy, but with one important condition. Why does the United States need thousands of new missiles, tanks, and aircraft right now? Does this mean preparations are underway for a major war as intelligence warns? Or is this a way to put pressure on Putin and Iran? Today we will break down the details of Trump's statement, which was published by the media. Watch until the end. On March 7, 2026, Trump stated that the United States must immediately restore its military potential, which, according to him, had been depleted in previous years. His plan includes not just purchasing weapons, but building new factories and achieving complete self-sufficiency in all components, from gunpowder to semiconductors. Trump's main thesis is peace through strength. He claims that dictatorships respect only a powerful arsenal. Trump plans to modernize the nuclear triad, deploy the latest air defense systems across the entire territory of the United States, and launch mass production of strike drones that have proven their effectiveness in Ukraine. But there is a nuance. Trump emphasizes that this production is, above all, jobs for Americans and a shift for the dollar. This statement did not come out of nowhere. Just yesterday, Reuters published a report about the expansion of the Russian army near NATO's borders. Trump understands that in order to dictate his terms to Putin, Kim Jong-un, or Tehran, he must have the largest military machine in history behind him. This is a response to China's militarization and Russia's attempts to circumvent sanctions. Trump is essentially announcing a new arms race. He wants the United States to produce weapons faster and cheaper than anyone else. For NATO allies, this is a signal, buy American or be left without protection. Trump is turning geopolitics into big business, where security is a commodity. What will this expansion mean for Ukraine? On the one hand, increased production means that the shortage of shells and equipment will become a thing of the past. The United States will be able to supply weapons in volumes that will meet the needs of the front. On the other hand, Trump has made it clear, aid will not be free forever. He is promoting the idea of so-called lend-lease or direct purchases. The expansion of the U.S. defense industry is an opportunity for Ukraine to obtain the most advanced technologies. But Kyiv will have to negotiate new financial models of cooperation. Trump is building an arsenal, and in his plans, Ukraine is assigned the role of a stronghold that must be armed with American weapons according to American standards. Do you think the new U.S. weaponry will help Ukraine end the war more quickly? Or does Trump simply want to profit from military contracts as always? Share your thoughts.